because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
But this real sense that what you do as you emerge out of Middle Earth in your real life is you hope, because Tolkien's so good at capturing that.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. A video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set with the clouds.
And I said, I'm not happy, I've got bits wrong here. And she said, yeah, but that's all part of the learning process. That's all part of that makes it unique to you, that those kind of imperfections within it.
Welcome, folks, to the well-thumbed paperback of live streams and podcasts. Pages have been folded, margins have been scribbled in, and it's been weathered, and yet at the heart it has a story that invites you to come along with it. This is Faith Geekery, and I am Mark, and this is
Becca!
And tonight we are joined by
Tim. Hiya.
Tim. Hello, Tim.
Hello,
we were just saying beforehand that you are our fourth Tim. And so bizarrely we've had Tim A, Tim B, Tim D, and then Tim S tonight. So thank you for joining us, and we'll come in a little while to talk about your interest, or one of your interests. And tonight, as we always start, and ask about what geekiness have we been up to recently. Is anybody happy to go with anything that they've been up to recently?
Well, I did just realise, when you're watching something and how I see non-geeky people, they will sit and they will watch a show all the way through and won't necessarily interrupt that with the desire to know, where is that actor from? What else have they been in? Looking up on multiple things. How did they film that last thing? So I was almost late today, having watched episode 2 of Adolescent, which is a one-shot filming of a TV show. Yet there was a point where that they've done it in one shot, and then the camera takes off. And I had to know instantly, well, how have they done that? That's really interesting. And there is actually a little video to show how they transitioned from a what's it called, where you've got that magic device that stabilizes the camera.
A Steadicam.
Yeah.
A Steadicam. Well, it does exactly what it says on the tin. But they also then had a drone that was held by two people over on top. And it's that, I don't think watching TV is necessarily an automatic geek activity, but how you then watch it and how you want to process the information afterwards probably absolutely is. So that's what I was doing.
I think I always kind of go, oh, that's that person from there, and do that. And I haven't seen Adolescence because I found it too stressful. However, Becky has been watching it, and I was getting all the TikTok videos of all the technical stuff. So I actually saw how they did the drone thing first, the different vans that they've used, including a van where there's a guy sat on top of the van like Mr. Bean style, driving it with like a proper roll cage and everything, whilst the people are actually inside the van. So it's all very, very clever how they've done it. But for me, I was far too stressed just watching it because it's quite eerie.
I had to look up straight away. So did he do it? And then what happens? What happens in all of the 4 different episodes? So it just took all that stress out. I don't need that in my life, but I'm quite happy to enjoy a story. I just need to know the end first.
So folks,
I do that stuff all the time with my wife. When I'm watching a film, I'll start telling her about the people that are in it and what they've been in elsewhere. And I've even now got her watching the extras on the DVDs.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah.
So folks, what geekiness have you been up to? I've got a little subtitle here saying my outie is making maps, and that's 2 references. One to Severance, which has just had the end of the 2nd series, which is really mind-bending. I still don't really feel as if we've got enough of an answer to what the heck is going on. Have either of you come across Severance?
No,
Apple TV?
I don't have Apple TV.
So basically, the basic premise is that there are some people who have been severed, where basically they have two personalities. Their outer world experience, like normal life, and they've kind of signed up to this company that they've had like a little chip implanted in their minds, and that when they enter the lift and go down onto the whatever floor it is, they become a different person, and the person on that level has no other understanding of what the world is like or otherwise. It's as if they're a new person, and the only experiences they have is when their outie comes into the lift, and as literally they kind of just appear at work, and they work 9 to 5, and then they go and stand in the lift, and that's the end of their day. And they come, their conscience is back again next day, and so they just have this continual life in work, whereas the outside person only kind of has this experience of going to work. And it's really kind of dubious, interesting. It's like a thriller, and it's all kind of, it feels very kind of 1950s style, especially at the work, but out in the real world it's normal. And then there's this one episode when you just see goats down in one of the offices, and you're like, what are the goats got to do with it? And you do get some answers in some of it, but it's like, I don't know what's going on here. And it's from Ben Stiller as the director. And yeah, it's got a lot of rave reviews, but it is weird. And I'm there going, I think I enjoyed that episode. Do I have any more answers? No. But yeah, so it's really quite clever, but I want to know more answers, and to end on it on the way it did, I'm just there going, I have now potentially 2 years to wait for potentially some more answers, and so I don't like it. So if you haven't got into it yet, maybe wait a couple of years.
In conclusion, don't watch this.
Yes. Well, do watch it. I love it, but it really infuriates me that I've got no answers to it. But anyway, so that's Severance, but also Making Maps. I've got it in the Geeky Gallery, but basically I've got some map making stuff for roleplay games and things, and so I've been enjoying making maps and towns and bits and pieces like that. So that's what I've been up to. Tim, have you been up to anything geeky that you want to talk about? You don't have to.
Only catching up on ancient episodes of Doctor Who on iPlayer.
How often do you restart? Is this a recent restart? Is this a annual cycle?
This is quite a recent restart. Just a longing for some proper storytelling in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Despite the really cheesy special effects, and I say proper storytelling, old-fashioned storytelling. I think the old Doctor Who, we wouldn't get away with it now with the level of content in the scripts and the very tenuous cliffhangers that are never cliffhangers, because by the time you get to the next episode, they've forgotten what the cliffhanger was.
Yes, you can't get away with that now, can you? Because people's tendency to binge watch means that we're absolutely on the edge of that cliffhanger, and if you don't resolve it quite quickly, we're going to be grumpy. You can end the episode with a cliffhanger, but that cliffhanger needs to be resolved in some way immediately within the 30-second countdown before the new
fudged, which they tended to do a lot. And because Doctor Who was on a Saturday night, Mum used to shut herself in the kitchen and bake the buns ready for Sunday tea. There was always a pile of buns and Victoria sandwiches being baked while we were watching the Daleks.
Do you think there's a smell that you then associate with Doctor Who?
I guess there is, yeah. The aroma of fairy buns and Victoria sponges being cooked.
Nice. What a nice thing to smell.
I know it's
a Saturday night tea. It was always an easy tea. It would be something like macaroni cheese that was done in the oven, because that the oven was on for the cake.
Yeah.
That's kind of
nice.
Yeah.
all I was going to say is that I have an association with the back of the settee, quite literally. I know that there's a stereotype of hiding behind a cushion or otherwise, but there are certain bits of the Sylvester McCoy as a very small kid. So that was my first kind of outing with the Doctor, running around tower blocks being chased by Daleks.
What did
or
the
something.
back of your settee smell like, Mark?
No, I just remember the back of the settee, which was green
Okay.
with a little gold bit trim. Or was that my granddad's? Oh, anyway, watching one of the Doctor Who's, I remember kind of hiding behind there. David Greet has said, my Geekery has been building a new deck for Magic the Gathering in the Commander format. I don't know what that means. But playing my first co-op Warhammer 80 Kill Team game. I think there might be a reference to that in Geeky Gallery as well.
Nice.
But that sounds all very cool. I keep on hearing lots of things about the Magic the Gathering, but then think I don't have enough space for more hobbies or the funds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what puts me off. It's same with miniature painting. You know what? I don't have the money to buy the number of colours that I would want to have to hand, and all the set. Yeah,
I'm very fortunate that one of my hobbies was the 3D printer, so therefore it enables me to make the minis. And then I got some, but you can get like basic sets for some 20 something quid, and that gives you an array of paintings.
I need the full range of colours, Mark.
Yeah,
I need
okay.
colours that'll
that will put you
annoy
back
myself,
several
believe
£100.
Exactly.
Okay, shall we move on to the geeky news?
Oh yes, let's do that.
Let's go.
This is the Faith and Geekery news, broadcast to your home and around the world.
So tonight we have a few bits. There is the Pac-Man Live that is coming to Manchester, I believe, which sounds crazy but really cool. But it's that sounds fascinating. We've had a message from the Discord regarding Last One Laughing, which is like a Jimmy Carr thing where 10 comedians try and make each other laugh.
I've seen the Australian version. It is obscene. I imagine this will be slightly toned down compared to the Australian
I think
version.
there's also a Japanese version of this as well. Again, on our Discord there was conversations about that. Minecraft is getting an update with vibrant visuals, and for podcast listeners, I've just got a couple of examples here of Steve on a boat with the basic graphics. And basically, I showed this to my son who loves Minecraft, and he was like, "What's the difference?" And I was just like, reflections, mate, and like atmosphere
Light.
and things like this. Yeah, so they've been a bit cleverer with the lighting, but it's still the usual blocky self. And there's also like a valley with a lake as well. And I have noticed that the examples they're using are with the sun and the water and a little bit of mist. So it does look nicer, actually. I think it does add something, but it still doesn't take it away from the normal blocky self. My son was actually kind of saying, actually, can you not just get a patch for this anyway? Is this not already a thing? I was there going, I think you could actually, but this is making it all mainstream to kind of touch up the graphics. But I've often wondered why they didn't just improve the graphics full stop. But I know it's a lot of computer generating going on in the background.
Yeah, I suspect it'll keep it at the speed that it currently is. Any additional graphics are going to slow down Minecraft when it's almost not. It's not a limitless world. But when you've got a world that is constantly generating new graphics, the more information you're putting out there, the slower it's going to run.
Well, I think I had a conversation. I have mentioned this before on Faith and Geekery that my daughter loves the addition of cats, and we had to go around and have a cat call because adding 100 and something cats was making the whole game slow right down. It was a slightly sad day. We did it kind of respectfully and reverently, as reverently as we could, but then went on a killing spree. It did speed up the game though. Also in Geeky News, we have the season 2 of the new Doctor Who titles. Look away if you don't want to see them. For podcast listeners, I'm going to read them out, so don't listen if you don't want to know. Robot Revolution, Lux, The Well, Lucky Day, The Story and the Engine, The Interstellar Song Contest, which I believe stars Rylan, Wish World, and The Reality War. And it's interesting to see the writers behind those. Russell T Davies appears a few times, Juno Dawson.
Most of them, isn't he? Yeah.
Inua Williams Peter Matisse. I don't know how to pronounce that. And yes, that seems quite interesting. And finally, I can't believe it, we have Tolkien news.
Ooh.
We have, you thought it's been
How
dead for
often
ages,
does that
but
happen?
exactly, but it's new news. I've got to also put my hand up to this because actually it's actually quite geeky for me, because basically there is a new statue to be, or two sculptures to be unveiled in East Yorkshire in a little village called Roos, which I lived about 4.5 miles away from. And at no point did I realise this was part of a Tolkien triangle between kind of Hull, Withensea and Hornsey. And basically Tolkien was recovering from trench fever, and so spent 18 months in this area, and his wife came to live in Hornsey, and they would kind of he would be kind of recuperating and getting better in this area. And there are kind of little mentions of the way that him and his wife would go and sit in the meadow and kind of have picnics together and things like this in Roos, in this little village. And so that's where they're commemorating Tolkien by having a statue there. And it's interesting because I had to then Google the Tolkien triangle, going, I've never heard about this before. And I never knew that it was like on my home ground where I grew up. And basically there's a bit in a radio interview where he intimated that Roos was the inspiration for the Shire. And they're going, but he didn't say it directly, did he? You, the website that are talking about the Tolkien Triangle, are maybe doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
What do you know? What the my thing's just gone off. Then, do you know what the treasured memory is?
One moment. No, I think the where is it?
It says
So
it's
there's dense.
depicts one of Tolkien's treasured memories.
Yeah, I've got a little bit from one of the website, which is Visit East Yorkshire. So again, not biased in any way, shape or form.
No bias at all.
We've got Ben's put, yay for East Yorkshire, proper Shire. Exactly. Ben knows what I'm talking about because he's just in that area as well. It says, Dents Garthwood at the rear of All Saints Church is where Edith, Tolkien's wife, danced and sang for him about the cow parsley in late spring or early summer of 1917. He was stationed nearby, and this episode so impressed the author that it inspired the tale of Luthien Tinnerville and Beren. This story was extremely important in the legendarium that Tolkien was ultimately to create. The first draft of this saga was created as early as August 1917, so whilst he was there. And the image in his mind of the two of them in the glade stayed with him for the rest of his life. So there is actually, some kind of some weight there of that kind of meadow and treasured moments there in East Yorkshire. Anyway, so I just thought I'd drop that because I just found that really fascinating. And not often do we get Tolkien news, and not often do we get mentioned Yorkshire of being compared to Lord of the Rings. So I just thought I'd throw it out there. So that, unless we've got any other comments to make on that, is the end of geeky news. Whew.
You know what I always forget about Doctor Who is that it is written by different people. And actually it would be quite useful once those episodes come out to be reminded which ones Russell T. David did and which ones he didn't, just because I like to notice the feel. The feel's different.
Well, I don't know where Tim is on this, but I find Steve Moffat, was it Stephen Moffat?
Stephen Moffat, yeah.
I find that some of his hit amazingly well, and that he has a good concept and a fantastic execution, like the likes of Blink. Whereas I feel that some of them are a great concept, but when it comes down to it, I kind of go, okay, and they just fall a bit flat. And so the one with the latest, I hope it's not a spoiler, but the one with the mine, stepping on the mine, it rave reviews of how fantastic it was around one little bit, but I was a little bit disappointed in it, and I also was there kind of going, the Fourth Doctor dealt with the mind far better. I think Tom Baker dealt with it in about 4 seconds. So rather than stretching it for a whole episode. But again, that's just that. I'm happy to say if that's just me. We've also had Angela say other shires are available. Just saying. We
Thanks,
should,
Angela.
yes, a little shout out to Oxfordshire. Sorry, I have no idea. Just threw one out there.
Hertfordshire? Nottinghamshire. There's quite a
Tonight's
lot, aren't there?
tonight's Faith and Geekery is just devoted to go through all the
listing
shires.
The counties in the United Kingdom.
With that in mind, should we go to the quiz?
Let's have a quiz. Any shires in there?
Let's see.
I got questions. The quiz.
I really should have actually had Tim queued up here. I've also got to say that... wrong one. This is the first week where Tim has been a little bit wary of the video that he's created. And Bedfordshire. Yes, he said he was a bit tired, and he went, I might re-record it. I'm a bit tired, and I also got distracted reading through one of the questions. A news alert came up, and then he's gone to various lengths, which is fantastic. Thank you, Tim, for all that you do for the quizzes. But he's also sorted out like the Word document just in case, because we might need it. And I'm thinking, what have we got ourselves into? I have no idea. But we're going to see. So if we've got our pens and paper ready, and then we're going to intrepidly hand over airtime to Tim in the hope it's not too weird. So here we have Tim. And here, if we've got pen and paper or otherwise, let us start.
Good evening, everyone.
It's a bit loud.
Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to the Faith and Geekery quiz. I'm Tim, your quiz master for this evening. You know the rules by now, folks. If Mark hasn't explained already, I'll give you a quick explainer now. You have 5 questions, 5 answers. Each question will be read out twice by me, Tim, and then we will have a short pause between each question. After all 5 questions are done, we'll
already
go through
very
the
nervous. I'm very nervous.
We'll see what happens. And
we really will.
I've heard you all. I've heard the comments. All these questions today are multiple choice, so there's going to be at least one correct answer. I hope for all of you. So,
thank you. He's thinking of me.
Multiple
paper,
choice
tablets
answers.
ready. Let's begin with the first question. On this day in 1965, Martin Luther King Jr. completed their 4-day march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. How long was that journey in miles? A, 40 miles, B, 50 miles, C, 60 miles, or D, 70 miles? That question again. How long was Martin Luther King Jr.'s 4-day march from Selma to Montgomery in miles? A, 40 miles, B, 50 miles, C, 60 miles, or D, 70 miles?
Thanks, Tim.
Do we need any thought for that?
No,
how
I've gone
far
with my
do
guess.
people walk in 4 days? And I don't even know the distance of that. I have no idea. I couldn't even point to you where that could be on a map.
Pick a letter.
Yeah, I'm going to go for that one. No idea, really. Let's go, shall we? Oh, he's still... That's just him.
Question number 2. Which of the following celebrities founded Arc Motorcycles in 2011? A, Tom Cruise, B, Ewan McGregor, C, Keanu Reeves, or D, Richard Hammond? That question again. Which of the following celebrities founded Arc Motorcycles in 2011? A, Tom Cruise, B, Ewan McGregor, C, Keanu Reeves, or D, Richard Hammond?
Oh, I'm going to guess. I feel as if it's 50-50 for me, but I'm sure I can prove
Question
it wrong.
number 3. In light of the new series Last One Laughing, starting on Amazon, it stars Richard Ayoade. Which of the following comedians did Richard Ayoade start his career alongside at Cambridge Footlights?
Ooh.
A. David Mitchell. B. John Oliver. C. Alex Horne. Or D. Sue Perkins? Which of the following comedians did Richard Ayoade start his career alongside at Cambridge Footlights? A. David Mitchell. B. John Oliver. C. Alex Horne. Or D. Sue Perkins?
I feel as if I've actually seen the photo. Hopefully.
Question number 4.
He was on the.
Tesco Club Card.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
I'm sure he was on. Isn't he on the Geeky News today? On the.
Yeah. Which he was. Oh, but, sorry. So Tesco Club Card. Let's pick up again.
Is 30 years old this year.
Wow.
Ooh,
In
fancy.
February 2013, it launched Club Card TV, a TV and on-demand film service which was free to all Club Card members.
False.
When did Club Card TV shut down? A.
Hang on, what was the year?
16. B. February of 2014. C. July of 2014. Or D. October of 2014. When did Tesco Club Card TV, which was launched in 2013, shut down? A. September of 2013. B. February of 2014. C. July of 2014. Or D. October of 2014.
It's a difficult one.
Go Tesco Club Card.
And question number 5. Mark Carney was recently elected Prime Minister of Canada, having previously been the Governor of Bank of England. I might have to change that question, because I think he's just started an election once again. Let's start that question over. Mark Carney was recently elected as Prime Minister of Canada, and within a week wants to start a snap election again, having previously been Governor of the Bank of England. What was unique about his appointment as Governor? A. He was the first one named Mark. B. He was the first non-Briton to hold office. C. It was supposed to be a temporary appointment. Or D. It was one of the shortest appointments in the bank's history. That question again, without the added stuff. What was unique about Mark Carney's governorship of the Bank of England and his appointment? A. He was the first one named Mark. B. He was the first non-Briton to hold office. C. It was supposed to be a temporary appointment. And D. It was one of the shortest appointments in the bank's history.
Are we ready for the answers?
Yeah, let's hear the answers. Whiz through, Tim.
No cliffhanger.
5 questions, 5 answers. Let's see if you got them right. Question number 1. On this day, 1965, Martin Luther King Jr. completed their 4-day march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. How long was this journey in miles? It was 50 miles. 50, 50.
I put 60.
Or 80 kilometers. But we're not doing kilometers. We're doing miles. Viva miles. Question number 2. Which of the following celebrities founded ARC Motorcycles
I put
in
Ewan McGregor.
2011? The answer is Keanu Reeves.
Oh.
Fun fact, because everyone knows you love a Tim fun fact.
Everyone does.
In the video game Cyberpunk 2077, of which Keanu Reeves is there as a main character, you can actually purchase and ride ARC motorbikes in-game.
Oh, very cool.
Who knew? Try before you buy, I say. Question number 3. Which of the following comedians did Richard Ayoade start his career alongside at Cambridge Footlights? Well, there are actually 2 correct answers here, folks. So if you got either one of these right, you get a point. It was David Mitchell and John Oliver. Oliver was vice president of Footlights when Ayowadi was president of Footlights in 1997. Ayowadi joined Footlights in 1995, while David Mitchell was president. Sue Perkins was leading Footlights in 1990 before Ayowadi joined the university, and Alex Horn didn't join Footlights until after Ayowadi graduated. The more you know.
There you go. I
Question
actually
number
saw
4.
Footlights during
Tesco
his
Club
time
Card
there.
launched 30
Oh, wow.
years ago this year. In February 2013, it launched Club Card TV, a TV and on-demand film service which was free to all Club Card members. When did Club Card TV shut down? The answer is October 2014. It lasted just over a year, which is surprising. It's lasted longer than Tui did. Anyway,
There's your
question number 5.
cliffhanger.
Mark Carney was recently elected Prime Minister of
That's
Canada,
random.
having previously been the Governor of the Bank of England. What was unique about his appointment as Governor? Well, he was the first non-Briton to hold office. He was previously Governor of the Bank of Canada, but was the first non-Briton to be Governor of the Bank of England since its founding in 1694. Fun fact, for those which are geeky about banks.
Fun is relative
History
here,
of the
isn't
Bank of
it?
England.
Yes.
The longest appointment to the Bank of England as governor was 24 years of service, held by Montague Norman in 1920 to 1944. The shortest was 3 months,
Okay.
1847, held by William Robinson. I believe, though, that the first governor of the Mint was Isaac Newton, who got that role because he wanted to stop counterfeiting and coin shaving. Anyway, 5 questions, 5 answers. Who knows what if you got it right? Let us know in the comments. But this is quite a surprisingly sleepy Tim, heading back to the Faith Geekery studio. See you next time for the quiz. Bye!
Tell me more about coin shaving. That's what I want to know about.
Oh, I can tell you a lot about coin shaving. It was
Can you?
yes, the reason that coins now have a milled edge, so it's got little grooves in the edge, is to show that whether they've been shaved. And a coin shaving was to remove the gold or the precious metal from the edge of the coin.
Yeah. To bring it a bit closer.
And then that was sold on as for
Interesting.
extra cash. Whereas the coins with a milled edge, they can see that you've been, there's a cat walking across your face.
Mobile being.
You can see whether the coins have been done or not. Now, my earplugs are screaming at me, telling me I've got low battery. You know, it does that in that annoying voice, that low battery.
Yes.
I just put that one back in.
I was going to say
that one will continue now that I've charged it up a little bit. But if it goes off,
then we have you have our permission if you need to take them out as well, if you need to, and we'll hope that it won't have any noise issues. Sam has put Isaac Newton was knighted for his work at the Royal Mint, not for services to science. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Did not know that.
That is a really fascinating fact about the bank.
We just gather these geeky people who hold on to not useless pieces of information, but maybe not always connected pieces of information.
That is very interesting.
That is
You would
interesting.
assume that you would have got it for that, but that's very cool.
Right.
So, Tim's choice of subject, which isn't coin shaving or the Royal Bank, but over to you about motorbikes, Tim. Is that
why motorbikes?
Why motorbikes? At the ripe old age of 40, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago it is. You can guess.
Two years ago.
Well, bless you. I have what would commonly known as a midlife crisis, and kind of camouflage that midlife crisis with the conversation with friends and families that I wanted to reduce the cost of travel to work. So I was going to get a little 125 motorbike that would just see me nicely doing the very short trip to work. Having done that, I realised what incredible fun I'd been missing out on. And within about 18 months or so, I went in for my test. Third time was a charm, I have to say, and bought myself a nice, fast, sporty Yamaha 600 Phaser, which was a ridiculous bike. Could go incredibly fast, straight from a 125 onto this thing. But I was hooked, well and truly hooked. There's something about being out and about, not in the car, just out and about on the bike, in whatever weather the weather decides it's going to throw at you, be that rain or wind or scorching hot sunshine or whatever, because you get all of the smells around you.
For good or for bad.
For good or ill, indeed, yes, especially in the Yorkshire farming communities where I was learning to ride. And you get to ride through all kinds of interesting substances on the road as well in the Yorkshire farming communities. But
which bit of Yorkshire?
I was born and raised in Harrogate.
Oh, cool. Just up the road from me at the moment.
So the Yorkshire Dales, all that. The whole of
fantastic.
the Blubber Houses, all that sort of area around there, Boroughbridge, etc.
Yeah.
Ripon, etc. were all my stomping ground, really. Learning to ride at that time. Joined a local Institute of Advanced Motoring group because I realised that my riding skills were far below the level that they ought to be. Pootling along quite nicely and being overtaken by kids on 50cc scooters, not really, you get the idea. And just that whole feeling of corners coming up rather too quickly, doing a lot of braking, approaching bends. So joined a local IAM group and learned how to ride a little bit better. As a result of that,
how did they teach that, Tim?
I'm going to take that one out because it's driving me loopy. It was 10 sessions with somebody they call an observer, not an instructor, because they're not teaching you how to ride. They're observing how you ride and telling you how you can improve your riding.
Interesting.
So over the course of 10 hour and a half sessions, you'd go out with your observer. You'd ride a bit, you'd stop, you'd have a chat about your riding, they'd tell you how you could improve your riding. We'd talk about cornering techniques, we'd talk about braking techniques, we'd talk about use of what they call the motorcycle system for riding, which is the same system that police motorcyclists use when they're out doing their Blues and Two riding. It's all about gathering the information around you, responding to that information, getting the right position on the road, adjusting your speed according to your surroundings and to the hazards that you've picked up through your observations, and making sure that you're in the right gear so that you can either accelerate or decelerate in an appropriate way. So it's not so much about going fast, it's about smoothing out your driving, smoothing out your riding, and there's all the same techniques can be applied to car driving as well. It was through that I did my first lone expedition all the way up to John O'Groats.
Cool.
Stopping over at various bed and breakfasts on the way, and the Highlands, riding the Highlands of Scotland. You can see the grin. Riding the Highlands of Scotland on your own, on the bike, being able to stop when you want, being able to go as slow or as quickly as you want to go, just absorbing the atmosphere, stopping wherever you like for food, drink, conversation with complete, total and utter strangers, many of whom are similarly lunatic and out on their motorbikes in all weathers.
I imagine I've driven up to the Highlands a few times, and if you get an incident or a couple of
put that back in again.
No, it's okay. I think if you I've driven up to the Highlands a few times, and there's some of these roads that are absolutely picturesque, but if you're stuck behind a few slow moving coaches or things coming the other way, then you're there for hours. But I've often looked at motorbikes just idling past, and you're there going, yeah, you've chosen the right vehicle to drive these, because you can enjoy the sights, enjoy the ride, and not get delayed by the tailbacks. But carry on.
Years and years ago, there was an advert on telly that used to use a fist symbol for a car and a open hand symbol for a motorbike. and it was the think once, think twice, think bike. It was the advert. But you get the kind of idea that that's the width of a car or a bus or a lorry, and that's the width of a bike. So when you're on a single track road, if you've got a passing place that you can quickly hop round a slow moving vehicle, and I guess that's another joy of motorcycling, that we really don't get held up that much. I'm not into harem scarum riding. I do like to go fairly quickly.
The speed limit. Yep.
Yeah, the speed limit.
I ride within the speed limit on this governor. Yeah. But it's just not having a vehicle in front of you on those roads when you're out just enjoying what's going on, and that freedom and that feeling of I don't know, I'm the king of the road, I guess. That feeling of, this is my bit of road, and I'm exploring and seeing all these sights. And that first trip really got me hooked. When my wife and I got married nearly 15 years ago now, our honeymoon, a year after we got married, was in Peru.
Wow.
And we hired 650cc trial bikes from a tour group, and spent 2 weeks on our honeymoon touring Peru, on these trial bikes with 8 other total and utter strangers, visiting places like Machu Picchu and Arequipa and Lake Titicaca and all of the touristy bits, and we would be going from incredible lush green valleys that follow the lines of the rivers that took all the meltwater from the mountains, with just the most incredible lush green reed beds you could imagine, and we'd go from that up into the high altitude roads of the mountains, where it was almost like you were on a lunar landscape. There was just absolutely nothing other than bugs hitting the screen of the bike. I've got a brilliant video clip which I took on my very ancient phone all those years ago, when we'd pulled in at the side of the road on this particularly high bit in the desert, and the flies that were alive descended on the windscreen to feast on the corpses of their fallen comrades.
Lovely.
Yeah, it was really quite something.
Is there something here about the kind of not only the view, but is there also something about the experience of feeling the wind and the I know the kind of talk about the wind in your hair sort of thing, but is there something? Yes. Does it bring you closer to? Well, exactly. Does it bring you closer to the experience, because you can feel the rush, and as you accelerate, you can feel it impact you physically, as well as seeing the view, that you are kind of, there's more senses involved rather than it just being a car experience.
Yeah. You have to be connected to the bike, not just sat upon it. You actually have to find a way to feel what the bike is doing and how the bike is behaving, particularly if you are, to use an IAM acronym, IAM phrase, making progress along the road. You really do have to be connected to the bike and aware of what the bike is doing. But you can also, in that space of riding, you have to clear your mind of everything other than what you're doing. And there's a charity started up a couple of years ago called Mental Health Motorcycling, and they found that a number of people have benefited enormously from becoming motorcyclists and just being able to go out and ride and enjoy and just be in space alone, away from the phone. You can't answer the phone on a bike. Away from the phone, away from emails, away from the usual pressures that working life or whatever it is bringing on to people. and that space. We talk about car drivers being in their little metal box and being in their bubble. But in terms of riding a motorbike, you have to be in your own space. You have to be in that bubble, so that you're aware of what's going on. You're concentrating on what's going on around you, and not really thinking about what's going on back home or that phone message you've got to do or what have you.
So you have to be like attentive and be present in the moment, don't you? Because otherwise, if you're not paying attention, then you're going to be stuck. And does that? Come.
No, I just want to know about the people on the road. You said you met. I won't use mental health stigmatizing language, but you met people that were as adventurous as you on the road in Scotland. What is it about meeting fellow cyclists, motorcyclists?
There is something that is global. I would say about being a motorcyclist. We all are passionate about what we're doing. When you're going out riding in Scotland and you're riding through the Great Glen, coming back south from being in the Highlands, and you're riding through the Great Glen and it's -3 degrees, and you get to the very first stop after you've ridden through those severe temperatures, and you stop and you have a coffee and you wait until the blue has gone from your finger ends before you set off again. You engage in conversation with the guys and the girls that are there heading in the direction that you've just come from. And unlike car drivers, we kind of share what to expect, what's coming up on the road, when we talk about our experiences of riding in a particular area. And I could say beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you pull into a service area in a car, you will probably sit in your car and drink your coffee out of your flask or whatever, or you'll pop into the cafe and you'll sit on your own and you'll drink your coffee on your own. That doesn't happen with bikers. If we see a biker on their own, we tend to kind of make a move towards them and go, "Are you all right? How you doing? Where did you come from? Where are you going? What are you riding?" And there's just that camaraderie. You'll also notice a very strange thing that motorcyclists do as they're riding along. You end up, depending on where you are, and particularly a Sunday afternoon in Derbyshire, you end up feeling a little bit like a nodding dog, because it's custom for motorcyclists just to nod their head to another motorcyclist. Car drivers don't do that. Car drivers are all kind of, get out of my way, what are you doing on my bit of road? Whereas motorcyclists there just seems to be that camaraderie amongst us, that we're looking after one another. And what's a real blessing for me now is recognizing that unlike the bad old days, every single person that is riding on two wheels, regardless as to what they're riding, what type of bike they're riding, they are all treated with the same level of respect among the rest of the community. So you might have a cafe that is a favourite haunt for people that ride Harley Davidsons or what have you. But if a group of guys rock up on their Vespers, their scooters, it's all hail fellow, well met. There's no kind of hostility anymore like there used to be.
How has that changed? Why is that changed? What's happened?
I think we're realizing that we're all in exactly the same boat, and we're all taking exactly the same risks out on the road.
There was a deed of union between motorcyclists in 19... No. Or there was the Great War.
These have just died.
Your headphones have just died.
I'm on speaker now. So
no, that's fine. That's fine, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something... There's a real link to all motorcyclists, and I don't call myself a biker. I call myself a motorcyclist, and I think there's a clear distinction between bikers and motorcyclists. motorcyclists are folk like me that love to go out and ride, and we'll ride whatever opportunity we've got. And I just wear normal gear, normal kit, and there's no kind of pretense about me, if you like. Bikers tend to be of a type, shall we say. They've, generally speaking, got a ZZ Top type beard. There'll be leathers, they'll have skull and crossbow, or that kind of.
There's nothing wrong with any of those things, but carry on.
Nothing wrong with any of that. Nothing wrong with any of that.
All bikers and motorcyclists are accepted within Faith and
We're
Geekery.
all accepted. We are absolutely. We are all accepted within the group, and that's a big change. I think that's happened certainly in the last 20 years. It's a big change. Whether the rise of adventure motorcycling has been the change of that. So people like me with my adventure bike, we go off camping on the Isle of Man for a fortnight, and last year my wife and I had 2 weeks in France camping, and experienced the hailstorm from hell, in which our tent was shredded to ribbons by hailstones the size of melon balls. You know, it was quite something. We had to buy a new tent quickly.
Wow.
And my bike ended up with nice little dint marks all over it as well, because of the size and the weight of the hailstones that came down.
Is that a mark of the story, or is that something that you'd want to get buffed out?
It's a mark of the story, but the bike has been sold.
The scar is no more. One of the reasons I was really excited about your story and your geekiness about bikes, geeks find fellow geeks, was the story of the poppy going around. Is it Manchester?
Yes, the Ring of Red.
Yes. Tell us about the Ring of Red.
The Ring of Red. Normally, I think it's the Sunday. It's either the Sunday of Remembrance Sunday or the Sunday before. Motorcyclists from around the whole area around Manchester gather at one of the service areas on the M60, all wearing red in some form or another. So that could be a red high vis or a red jacket or whatever. And the whole purpose of that is to encircle Manchester in a ring of red, and the ring of red represents a poppy of remembrance. And I'm discovering more and more now as I talk to more and more motorcyclists out and about, that a lot of motorcyclists are ex-servicemen, or ex-service women as well, and kind of working alongside them and honouring what they've done. It's not that we're justifying war, not that we're justifying armed forces, but it's about honouring what people have done, and respecting the sacrifice of men and women who have chosen to serve their country in that way. The other event that we go along to quite regularly now is at the Royal Memorial Arboretum, which is an event called the Ride to the Wall. At the Arboretum, there is a wall of remembrance that has the name of every serviceman and woman, irrespective of what armed force they were serving in, who has given their life in active service. And that goes right back to just after the Second World War. There are a number of monuments at the Memorial Arboretum, but the wall speaks to me really, really deeply. Not only are there meters and meters and meters of names of people, but there are also blanks, and there are as many meters of blank wall as there are walls with people's names on. So it kind of speaks to me that the expectation is that over the coming years,
anticipation of death, gosh,
there will be men and women who are laying down their life in the armed services. For whatever reason, in whatever conflict that might be. And I would call myself a pacifist. I want to avoid any kind of physical violence, and I want every nation in the world to avoid any form of physical violence. But I guess that's an idealism, and in some respects, for me, it's an idealism that, as a world, sometimes we cannot afford, and that really challenges me. Challenges me very much as a Christian person. One of the most difficult services I have to do every year as a minister is Remembrance Sunday, because I believe in a God who is a God of love, who is a God of justice, and who is a God of peace. And I find that burden every year. But being part of the Ring of Red and the Ride to the Wall really does help me to find a different perspective and a different focus, because you see people there who are fellow bikers that have either served in the armed forces or have had loved ones that have served in the armed forces that are now dead because of their service. And we go and we pay our respects, and there's a short time of worship, Christian worship, a short time of remembrance. And it's a great opportunity for people that have served in the forces to meet up with former colleagues and spend time together. It really is just a very fantastic and a really moving occasion. And if anybody can make it, keep your eye open on social media for the Ride to the Wall. Even if you go in your car, we'll still let you in.
That's acceptable. Oh, I love
Fantastic.
how inclusive you are.
Well, bless you. Thank you, Tim. And I think that was a quite nice point to kind of end on, unless Becca wants to say anything else. But
no. We've got Geeky
but
Gallery, haven't we?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and thank you just of how an interest can develop into a community that can develop into an expression of remembrance and faith and everything combined.
Dignity and honouring people is absolutely stunning, isn't it? So
and recognise the armed forces as well. A shout out to those serving. Let's go over to Geeky Gallery. I can't easily segue into that. I'm just going to go straight into that.
And now Geeky Gallery.
Yes.
I need the tune.
Let's go from this really in-depth moment to this triviality. No.
Oh, and a dance. Oh, Tim, you can come again.
Yes. First of all, we've got Mendip sharing some of his tournament stuff. He also has backed a Kickstarter with some fantastic graphics and otherwise. That's called Luddite. There are some, the tournament that he'd been talking about over the last couple of weeks. He went to, and him and his friend managed to get 12th out of 18, so not quite in the top 10, but it's always good, isn't it, to give it a go anyway. And so that's pretty cool. So that's a lot of Mendip's stuff. We then have birthdays. We have birthdays. We have Emmy 104, who had come on and talked about Studio Ghibli and birthday stuff. Birthday cake was a birthday Ghibli cake, or Studio Ghibli cake, with various little presents and bits and pieces, all kind of that sort of themed. But then also Lydia celebrated Lydia Moo has celebrated her birthday too, and as always, cows have featured heavily. But there's also a
big-headed Highland cow poking into the window of a car.
Yes, there's a couple of Highland cows, or the same one maybe, and a little calf there as well. So happy belated birthday to Emmy and Lydia Moo. And then Becca, from your own I was about to say,
I did
your
Bombards,
offering.
didn't I?
No, that's cool. I was trying to work out whether it was the same picture of the Halloween stuff and the pumpkins.
Yes, that was a side by side, because we had a conversation, like we talked about Minecraft earlier, the difference between graphics 15 years ago in Second Life and graphics now. And that's not even a good representation of graphics now in some ways, because it's got filters on and stuff. But
so the picture on the left hand side, I would say, is kind of very much kind of Tomb Raider-esque graphics, less point pointy graphics, but
really dodgy hair, really dodgy rendering of skin.
But actually, the modern ones, if I just squinted even slightly, I would assume that was a photo.
Yeah.
It is much
and
more
that's as much to do with that lighting, that stuff that they're adding to Minecraft. And I think even with the blockiness, by adding realistic lighting, it makes the whole experience more immersive. And you don't know why, because quite often it's subtle. But where there's something casting a shadow, where there's something creating a reflection, then all the stuff that you're doing just creates that feeling of being really, really there. So yeah, and the others are just posed pictures that I've taken.
It looks as if there's a lot of like what I want to say is Jane Eyre kind of esque. There's the kind of Pride and Prejudice kind of style things. And is there somebody with a dog on their lap or a chicken? I couldn't quite work out.
That was an autumn picture where I had said so the story was I'd fallen into the pile of leaves and the retriever had then also jumped onto the pile of leaves.
I wasn't actually.
It's just legs.
I wasn't actually referencing that one. I was referencing the one directly beneath. Was it blue and white trousers?
Oh yeah, with puppies. So many.
Yeah,
puppies.
it is puppies.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's what I couldn't work out. But that's of course that's Second Life. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
And then Tim, I think this is yours. Is it? Am I right?
Yeah.
With your sitting in a Lego Aston Martin, is it?
Aston Martin DB9.
Aston Martin.
Or
Yeah,
DB5,
wow.
maybe DB5. Let me get the geekiness right. I think it's DB5.
347. No, 347,000 bricks.
7,954 bricks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just
Way
over
too short of a ton. Yes.
blimey.
And as you can see, you can sit in it. And the number plate, this was the best bit for me. The best geeky bit, certainly, was the number plate revolves.
Oh, fantastic.
James Bond car number plate
Yeah,
revolve. I can't just remember what movie it is. I'm sure that somebody will be able to make a comment on that. But yeah, the number plate revolves.
I remember them driving down the alley with it. I can't remember the film. And then beneath that is my map making stuff. So that is of a dusk village. This is a canvas of kings where you can just drop things in. It doesn't do dungeons, unfortunately, but it does do villages and countrysides and waterways and footpaths and you can
is that
change
what those darker lines are with footpaths?
and you can kind of so that's like a little village, but that's dusk,
on a grid.
so you can change you can add the grid, you can take it away.
Nice.
Jen Loren has just added a little is that a Pokemon thingy? I think it is. But yes, you can change the time of day with it. You can change the light intensity. You can change the kind of general colours because it's quite a nice
I like
aesthetic.
the lights that are coming out of those little houses.
And you can change the wind direction, and you can also export it for those with video tabletops, which I have one. That you can it sends it out on like a loop, so you can actually see the trees kind of swaying, the smoke from the from the chimneys kind of rising. And if you're kind of building it, every so often a bird will just fly over. And so that's got no other reason.
Little details, yeah. I always had moving birds into any scene that I create in Second Life, because you won't necessarily look at them, but that odd movement out the corner of your eye is what tricks you into thinking, oh no, this is living. This is a living space.
Yeah. No, definitely. So I've had fun with that, and I'm continuing to have fun with that. But you can also add fog and snow and things like that. So that's also pretty cool. Moving on, Specky Geek has done some of his co-op game of Kill Team, which I think he referenced earlier. And Jen, who's just mentioned that it was a Jengar, the emoji that she shared up. So she's freaking out. Ignore me, she says. But she's shared her jigsaw as well as her injury from badminton, so that was what she was sharing, and I think that is the end of
amazing What a good geeky gallery showing. Well done, everybody.
Yeah,
with a new dance from Tim. Remarkable.
Put me in front of a camera, I go mad. What can I say?
Well, bless you, Tim. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for sharing a bit about motorbikes and otherwise. And I imagine we might even be able to tease you to come back and talk about Doctor Who of the original sorts. But we'll leave that for another time and another invitation. But thank you, Becca. Over to you.
I think the thing that is lingering today is not being afraid to spot your fellow geeks, whether it is someone with a motorcycle and you spot the signs that they are on the road and alone, or you're out and about. It's the finding the shared humanity and then allowing that to honour your own humanity, celebrate life, mourn the dead, but that allowing the connection to happen wherever you are. So as you are going, find the beauty in the other. Amen.
Amen. And bye-bye, folks. Have a good evening or the rest of the day when you're listening later on podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.